Welcome to anybody who's listening to us. I've got Nthabiseng. She will introduce herself. And please continue to subscribe, follow, listen, like, comment. We just want to engage with you with these change conversations that we're having. So today I've got Nthabiseng, and Nthabiseng will introduce herself. We are going to be talking about stress and how we have to deal with stress in these times of COVID, and how do you balance work and life, because life is happening to a lot of us, and there are a lot of spaces where we're going to touch. So please stay with us and have a great time listening to this conversation. Hi, Nthabiseng.
Hi, Mpumi, how are you?
I am good, and how are you?
I'm doing well, even better to be with you and your listeners and your YouTube channel family. Really, it is a privilege for me to come into this conversation. It's so much needed, especially during this time. We all need it. All of us, actually, it's not some of us, all of us, even the children went through stress in 2020, 2021. So really, it is a conversation to have. I'm so grateful that I am part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. You popped into my spirit, and I was just like, Nthabi is the person for this topic. And that's how I do things. Like, I get an idea, somebody's name pops in, and then I ask. And the only thing they can say is, no, Mpumi, I don't want to do it.
I wasn't going to say no to you. I wasn't going to say no to you. I wasn't going to say no to sharing this space with you because of how passionate I know you are about your work and the work that you do. And you know how I'm always supportive of everything that you do. And this is actually like a privilege to be part of the conversations. I've been wanting to be in the conversations, actually.
Oh, wow.
So I'm happy. I really am. It literally, like, it's very funny because I was looking at ways to launch a book, and so they were sharing, and some of the things that they were saying is participate and speak and blog and be part of the blogs and the podcast. And you were part of. I was like, she has just introduced us to her podcast, and you, like, the same time, like, that's just how the universe works. It's like when you said I popped, I'm like, same time I was researching this and I thought about you. The next day when I sent you a WhatsApp, you said this, and I'm like, okay, it's not even magic anymore. It's just so natural now. That's how amazing and how real this is. We are so connected, more than we'll ever understand. And that's how we will survive this. Yeah.
And God always just delivers on our needs in some shape or form, isn't it?
It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. Yeah.
It is. Anyway, so please introduce yourself. You'll do a better job of who you are and what do you do.
Yes. Okay. My name is Nthabiseng Motsa. I wrote a book called The Untangled Heart. So I'm the author of The Untangled Heart. It's a book on emotional wellness and how to cope with life in general. It's a very holistic book. We'll share about it a bit in this space. But I'm also like a facilitator in the mental wellness space. I do one-on-one and group sessions for individuals, families, as well as workspaces on mental wellness, but not just mental wellness. There's emotional wellness, there's spiritual wellness that is intertwined in the wellness of a person internally, because we always say we are energies. So we work with making wellness, mental wellness, emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, very, very popular. Like, I advocate for that a lot, that we must always be in check with our mental well-being. So that's what I speak about, I work on, I facilitate on. And I am just a lover of life. I'm a sister in love. I just love people being well and happy. So that's what I do. And it's really close to my heart, the topic that we are talking about, because we think it's small and it starts small. Um, so stress management, as if I have to introduce the topic, it's close to what I do, because sometimes we think, hey, I have stress, and we don't see that that's part of your mental well-being. You need to manage it as stress, because it could be anything. And the researchers show that it's one of the killer diseases if it's not managed well. So I think it's a very important that we speak of it as stress, because everybody has stress. When you go to mental illnesses, it gets too much and people get overwhelmed, and it's a scary space because we are not familiar with it. Hence why it's my
Mm,
passion to speak about it all the time, and to just try and remove the stigma around it, because there's no need for it. But if we talk about stress, we can build it up, and hopefully I'll come again to speak more and create more awareness around the mental wellness, emotional and spiritual wellness.
yeah.
Sure.
Thank you very
Yes.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
so let's start. I usually start with the basics. So the
Okay.
basics are, how do we define stress?
Stress is, it could be anything. Like I said earlier, that even children went through it. They had to be taken out of schools, and their routine changed. Anything that brings drastic changes, anything that takes you out of your comfort zone, is called a stressor. So it could be environmental, it could be physiological, it could be psychological. Okay, so we, as the whole world, we went through a big stress. Actually, we could call it a trauma for others, called COVID-19. So stressor could be anything that changes drastically and takes you out of your, I don't want to say comfort zone because we don't live there anymore, but anything that puts you out of what you normally would be comfortable in could be a stressor, could be a trigger of you feeling that sadness, that exhaustion, where your brain is no longer in, and you have mood swings, you are fatigued, you can't sleep, you are feeling out of place, you just don't have this harmony with yourself. Okay, so in a language that everybody can understand, those are the little symptoms I have shared. There is more, but these are the events and occurrences that takes place outside of your usual self, so you feel uncomfortable. And they are so many. In a day you can find yourself dealing with so many stresses. You just have to be aware of them, notice them, and understand that, oh, this is coming as a stressor. Even just an email, so it doesn't have to be physical. Always, it can be email, it can be even on the news. It could be anything, or it could just anything that is outside that makes you feel that unsettling feeling, is called a stressor. So I want people to understand that sometimes, like, there is certain things that we think, oh, these are stresses. Yes, there are specific things, but there could be way bigger. You just have to be listening to your inner self to say, okay, this is actually taking me out of my usual and peaceful space. I'm now running out of energy. This is actually taking me out. I'm not happy anymore. And this could be you facing a stressor in that particular time. Be aware of it, and we will talk about also the techniques to bring yourself back and actually deal with it, adjust to it, and
Mm,
learn to cope with it. Yes.
yeah. So you speak
Sure.
about you need to be aware of it. Like
Yeah.
how, what are those things? Because we get busy and we're moving
Yeah.
around, and sometimes
Yeah.
we don't even feel into ourselves, if that would be the symptoms, or what would you say?
Okay. Um, I think as people, like, this world is, it's very fast paced. You are right to say that sometimes we really don't even feel that now I am stressed. You'll probably realize when maybe something drastic happened, like you snap at your child for no reason. Like, you are in a space where you were doing something and you thought you were coping. Actually, you were managing your workspace environment so well, and then when you get home, your child makes a noise, because stress doesn't like noise, and then you snap. And then you realize, you go back and you say, this is not me. I don't
Mm.
speak like this to my children, right? Those are the little things. You snapping, you lacking sleep. You think about the things that you were supposed to have left at work. You keep thinking about it, and you have sleepless nights. And you wake up, you are a zombie. You can't cope or manage. You are biting more than you can chew. Like you are taking everything and you can't delegate. The desperation to be perfect as well, or the fatigue. You can feel your body. It can be physical, but it can also be mental, where you cannot be able to focus. You lose focus because your brain now is just overwhelmed. You lose focus. Instead of you having a plan, you are touching here and living without finishing and going to the other. Those are some of the ways that you can see
Mm.
that now I'm no longer coping, I'm not managing, not enjoying simple things in life. It's also another symptom. You have to be enjoying everything that you do. Be cognizant that I'm having coffee now and I'm going to drink it and have a good time. Then I'll be
Mm.
able to go and make breakfast after this. Then I will kiss and check on my children, check on my husband's well being, and even have those people in your life that are important that you can speak to and let them know that they are important. Like work
Mm.
life balance, where we you are not able to balance things out, and you can feel that your work and your lifestyle, it's out. You don't have rest inside of you, in your mind, as well as, well, I know that the life is fast paced. You cannot always be at rest, but there has to be that healthy way. And you also have to be aware the physiological with stress. It's very easy to see, because you will have your shoulders very heavy, you will have headaches and migraines, you will have your eyes puffed up, you will see your face changing. So it's
Mm.
very easy with stress, and if we are aware to see the physical changes on ourselves. But also there is those emotional changes where you are impatient with people, you find yourself snapping at things that normally you would just take for granted. You are an easygoing person, but now you are this person that is so irritable. And sometimes you can even cry, have these breakdowns where you
Mm.
just cry. It will be a normal day, everyone is happy, and you go into the bathroom. And yes, some people have hormonal changes as their life cycles happens, especially women. But these are
Yeah.
the occurrences where now, outside of that, you realize that actually I just couldn't hold this anymore. And then you have
Mm.
breakdowns. These are like
Yeah.
alarming notification from your body, from your spirit, from your mind, from your emotions to say you are taking more than you can chew. Reorganize yourself. You don't even have to let go of everything, but you
Yeah.
need to reorganize. And we will talk about how to manage all this life things, because as we adult, there is so much to do in one day. Like in just one
Yeah.
morning, you find yourself doing a thousand things. So
Yeah.
we will talk about how to arrange life in a manner that will help you just to have there's no way you can avoid stress, because it is also like a good stresses that makes
Yeah.
you perform well in your
Okay.
livelihood, that makes you perform better. Those changes help you to be from home and managing these little humans. Literally, it's just how hectic COVID has made this life to be. The professional that we thought, the professionals we thought we were, had to drastically change. And coping and managing all that, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets real even as we speak, to have to balance as little human as well as giving how to manage stress.
Yeah. And it's been our life for any other day you take them to school, you then go to work. But
Yes,
the past year has taught us something totally different. Where, yeah,
exactly.
and initially we were embarrassed with our kids popping into our webinars and into our team meetings. And it was like, oh, baby, go, go. And now it's like, this is life,
It is. It is.
and we
It
just
gets
need to
very
embrace
real.
it.
We embrace it. It's the changes that has come, and the sooner we embrace and adapt, the easier our life is going to be. The more enjoyable to realize that these things can merge. Everybody
Yeah,
knows that you have kids, and your kids also know that right now mommy is busy with the work stuff. As much as they would come and pop, but they understand now. So we are learning, and change is also good. Like I was saying, there are good stresses. If we do adapt, we learn that okay, maybe work is not at work in the office. Work is
yeah,
everywhere I am, and I
yeah,
can be on a Zoom meeting now, and the next thing I'm cooking a healthy meal for myself, because we then it helps you with the good eating habits, and we know good
yeah,
eating habits are part of the health, and health equals a healthy holistic lifestyle. When I'm
yeah,
at home, I can be wearing my gym clothes, so during my lunch hour, I can take 30 minutes doing yoga or meditating to
yeah,
cope with life. So you see, all these changes, not all changes bring stresses. Yes, it can stress because it was drastic and we didn't ask for it, right? But as
yeah,
we manage and learn and adapt and allow change, then we become the better people. We even actually get to use it to our advantage. We get to have our children three times a week and 2 times at school. So we are sharing, and they are benefiting from this beautiful balance where they can see
yeah,
you work. They, like, we used to not know what our parents do at work, right? They
no,
can see, so they get to see that, oh, is this work? Okay, I can work
yeah,
too. Mommy, you just
yeah,
switch on your computer and then you work. So it brings a lot of good things as we adapt, but I wouldn't blame people who are still stressing about it even now, because people adapt to change it differently, and
yeah,
those are the people that we are here to maybe give a few tips to, and to also speak or converse about other ways that we manage to do it up until now.
yeah, yeah. So Nthabi, the pandemic brought a lot of things to us. I think from an emotional stress perspective.
Yeah.
So you find yourself. So I've experienced it myself, and I've had colleagues and clients that have experienced it. So there's an element of either losing work, there's an element of losing people because COVID is happening. Just from so losing people from a pandemic, or just losing people because death also comes. It doesn't really matter where you're at.
Mm.
So, what do we say, and how do people cope in those perspectives? So let me make an example. You
Mm.
are working, you are losing people in your family, you're still expected to work and
Mm.
perform as well
Mm.
as you possibly can. But now you're also feeling guilty that you're taking time off because maybe you've lost a lot of people in your family. Like, so how does that person really find ways and means to deal with those situations?
Mm. We call it a complicated grief situation. This is what we have been calling it since last year. It's complicated grief situation because it's more than just death that is taking. It's uncertainties of whether when you come back from burying that person, you won't be having COVID yourself. So you might be, or someone, or even if you are the person who would say, no, I will watch it on Zoom, or I will watch it on Facebook Live. Your mom doesn't understand all those things, so they want to go. So we have been going through like the anxiety of losing people. We have been going through the pain of losing people. We have been going through the even the stress of thinking our companies will close down and will be retrenched, or knowing that your position is secure. However, you have to retrench people. I know a lot of business people who had to retrench. They were as frustrated, as stressed as the people that are retrenching, because you are taking their livelihood and you don't
Yeah.
know how these people are going to live. But you realize that it doesn't make business sense to have all these people anymore. So it's
Mm.
been a really, like I always say, as a people, we are amazingly powerful. This has been the hardest
Mm.
time to ever live through. The hardest. So if you feel like you are just surviving, barely surviving,
Mm.
survive. We come from the war, but actually we are not even out of it. We are going
Yeah.
through war, a terrifying, terribly horrible, dark war. It's just that we are the generation, as we always say, that smile when we are supposed to cry.
Yeah.
So on your social media, you will be smiling. Actually, in a normal sense, we were supposed to all be crying and consoling each other on a daily basis, because
Mm.
we are going through a very dark time, and we are feeling it in our spirits, we are feeling it in our bodies, we are feeling it in our minds, that this is really a difficult time. However, we have survived, and for that I am actually um, very impressed of the assertiveness of humankind. But when it comes to the question that you asked, how do we now manage and live through this
Yeah.
sensibly? I would say one day at the time. Look, grief, it's real, loss is real, but now, like the death of the loved one, it's a big deal for all of us. It doesn't matter who they are. If anyone that you, even if it's not a family member, it's a colleague, anybody that you
Mm.
know, when they are removed in that way from you, it changes your certainty about life. It
Yeah.
changes your life as you know it. It's a very scary thing to go through death itself. I don't think we talk about death enough. We have been coping with it because we had to, but death is one of the tragedies in life. And now it happened rapidly. It happened to your
Mm.
Facebook friends. It happened to the colleagues. It happened to the politicians that we know, the leaders that we trusted for our livelihood. And now it happened to us personally in our families. And all this, there are processes that go through this. There are 7 steps to go through grief. Others say 6. It's a long process that maybe we'll talk about, because I also like a lot to speak about grief on its own. It's something
Yeah.
that we could spend a whole hour actually breaking down, and also speaking about how complicated sometimes grief can be, like
Mm.
what we went through now. Usually what you do is, for the whole week in an African space, what do? We keep going to see how the family is doing. We keep going. This is us actually healing ourselves. It has nothing to do with the person who have rested. It's our
Yeah.
way of grief and processing, right? So now, what did COVID do? You can't go back to, but you can't be going to people's homes. You are not
Yeah.
allowed. You might infect yourself or infect them.
Yeah.
Secondly, we have a way of going to hospitals if people are sick. We were not allowed. So even prior to the person passing on, we were not allowed to process this. So everything is so, like, you understand, it's
Yeah.
very, all of a sudden it's forced on you. You have to breathe with it or collapse. So
Yeah.
it's been really, really tough. So we haven't been given an opportunity to go to the funeral, where when you are at the funeral, you can't see the person, especially if it's a COVID situation, they are not even coming, so you can't see the coffin. So your mind processing, it's not happening at
Yeah.
all. So you see how complicated the time that we have been in is, to make you actually deal with things the way you usually would. So it's been like a very complicated grief situation in terms of death. When it comes to retrenchment as well, loss, any kind of loss, when you lose a person, you go through the same process where you are shocked, and then you go to the space of denial, then you go to a space where you now have to find a way to survive this. When you realize that this is reality, then you go into a depression. When you are in a depression state, these are the things that we'll talk about when we are talking about grief and loss. These are the steps. They become 7, they become 6 for others. um it's a process that each stage you have to be aware of it and work
Yeah.
on it so that you don't get stuck. Hence why other people get to be stuck in a space of maybe denial, and then they have like this very disconnected persona where they cannot be able to face the reality. And that's where now we have like even more complicated psychological situations that now needs an intervention by maybe a therapist, psychologist, or even a psychiatrist. But
Yeah.
it has been a very difficult time. So you see how many losses we have counted already: loss of the usual life, loss of the loved ones, fear of loss, loss of the jobs, or you being the one who is releasing people. All these are the horrifying stresses, the highest level of them. And
Yeah.
so how you cope with that, we will go to it next. There are techniques that you have to do when it comes to
Okay.
guilt, which is a big deal, because as humans we are embedded with that. We need to learn a way of dealing with guilt, as well as shame of not being this perfect people that we are hoping to be, or that we are meant to be,
Yeah.
because we are the people of excellence. But sometimes really we need to be more kind and more self-loving towards ourselves. And as I share, we are going to understand that these are the things that we have to learn, but we
Mm.
also have to unlearn a certain traits. It's a very difficult process that we have been embarking on, but I have loved all these conversations that you have and all the other platforms that I've seen, that now self-development has been a thing now. We are
Yeah.
healing, and it's getting better with time. But I will share a few things with our listeners and our YouTube family on how to manage, like few tips that we can
Okay.
start with. Yes.
Yeah. But what are those tips? Maybe let's just get into it.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I've already mentioned that we can take advantage of a situation where you work at home, where you can do a little bit of yoga, a little bit of meditation in between, right? These are the things that you don't have to sweat on. So let's start with meditation. Meditation, it's a space where you can be able to center yourself. This is how we started with you. I think you are a person who understands your energies. So before you do anything that is important to you, you remember. It takes a second sometimes to just breathe in and out and just be in the moment to say, even just one breath, you will feel the
Yeah.
difference. Even
Yeah.
if, as you are watching this, if you can just take a moment and you allow yourself, because we get so busy, but if you could say just one breath, it just takes everything. You feel your tingles in your brains to say, oh, you remembered. You
Mm.
remembered
Mm.
that it's not about being busy. It's about being productive and giving the best out of you, because you are the source. When you're good,
Yeah.
or everything around you will be good. So just taking a breath. But meditation, as we get deep, it's something that you can learn to do. And you can start small, where you start with breathing and just centering yourself. But centering yourself is just coming back and gathering your thoughts, because we are living in a space where we are always all over the place, trying to switch here and there and fix everything. But in this moment, in this 5 minutes, this is you just letting go of everything and just coming back to the peaceful space, the most peaceful space, by breathing in and out. That naturally brings you into that space. Okay.
Yeah.
So taking this break, instead of always having a coffee break or having wine every single uh, evening when you have stress, which I don't have a problem with coffee and wine, but these are some of the other techniques that you can use, just breathing in and out and relaxing. And I would advise that there are so many content in terms of meditation. Go out there, research, look out and learn. start small, start with 5 minutes, because it is one of the things that, because we don't know how to do it, and it's annoying, it's just like out of your place. But as you get used to it, you get addicted. Okay.
Yeah.
The second thing is taking a walk. When you feel like it's too much, just get out of even just a compound, even at work. Go outside of and just walk on the corridor. Go and somewhere outside of where your stressor was. Well, if you are working from home, maybe there's an email that is someone who is actually pressing the buttons that you know that this person is really, really now getting into my nerves. You walk away and then you gather your thoughts, and you just let it go, and in that moment, because sometimes we react and we take too much. But if you
Yeah.
take a moment away from it, when you come back to it, you are a different person altogether, because you are not trying to solve it right now. You gave it time, and I promise you that 5 minutes can save your energy, because the way you're going to respond, it will show that you are a person who is aware of your stresses, who is aware. And as I speak of awareness, be aware of your stresses. Know,
Mm.
this is the third thing, know what ticks you off, know what makes you angry, and even write about it. Like, be aware of it so much that you can even have a stress journal. Other people do have stress journal where they record their day. Once you are aware, you will know you and understand yourself better. So let's be the people who manage our life in a way that we understand our feelings. Like when we started, you asked me, how do you know? We should
Mm.
understand ourselves to a level where you feel your energy, you feel that feeling that no,
Yeah.
I'm no longer happy, and you can be able to even write about it and
Yeah.
and 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 note it down. Do you have
I
something?
always say I can feel my BP rising. That's when
Yes,
I know that I'm being triggered by something.
yes,
Literally, like if somebody could take my BP now, it would be high. So I can relate to that.
yes. So you record and you're aware, so you know yourself at that level that, oh, my BP is getting high. So as someone else will know, they will have another way of defining it. So you record this and find a routine that works for you. Okay, there are people that are good, very good in the morning, and as the afternoon goes, they get. So understand your work routine or where your energies are high, and do
Mm.
things that needs all your energy during the time when your energy is high. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
um Nobody says do it all together now. So if you understand yourself that I'm so energetic in the mornings, the most hardest tasks, do them in that time and space. Set up meetings in the mornings, the important meetings, and then the less important meetings in the afternoon. You see, now you understand yourself, but sometimes we are not even aware of ourselves, and this is making our stress even higher, because you put
Mm.
everything when you are exhausted if you are not a morning person. But there are other people that escalate. So your afternoons are better because you have managed to get your hand around the day. So put everything
Mm.
in the afternoon. You see, you need to know yourself so that you can manage and cope with this. So another thing is that you have to be assertive at work, especially. You need to be assertive without being
Mm.
arrogant. Okay.
Okay.
There are certain people that will push things your way. You need to say, my basket is full for now, can I do that later? Because if you take it all and you say yes to everything, then you will find yourself not performing well, and that is bad in the workplace. You will find yourself
Yeah.
taking more than you can chew, and now you are not meeting the deadlines. That your reputation gets to be ruined because you were not assertive and you were not truthful. So tell the truth that, what I have right now, I think it will be. So have timelines, plan your life. Okay,
Mm.
if you plan your life, even if something drastic happens, maybe your child gets sick and you are missing hours, you will be able to still catch up with that, because you have a plan, you
Yeah.
have a system that works for you. And because we
Yeah.
don't have a system that works for us, anybody can come and teach you how to do, and you will take. Have a
Yeah.
system, have your timelines, have certain way that you do things and teach people how you work. It's the same everywhere. If we don't teach people how and who we are, then the life will be a mess, because everybody can give anything to you. You will take, even in the love relationship. If you don't teach people how you work and who you are and how to communicate with you, you'll forever be in a stressful situation. So
Yeah.
let's be the people that understand ourselves in a manner that we can even be able to teach people how we do things, so that have order in your life, and you can be able to manage all the
Yeah.
other areas of your life. Okay.
I like that. I was actually
Yeah.
having one of the conversations I've had in the past few weeks talks
Mm-hmm.
about setting boundaries. And
Yes.
we always think setting boundaries is a bad thing. But
Mm.
you set boundaries because it's all about self-care and self-love, and knowing that these are the things that are acceptable to me, and this is how I would like people to treat me. And that for me was a very amazing conversation, because it all boils down to knowing who you are.
It is.
and and
It
and,
is.
and most of us keep missing that point. We
Yes.
just hope to God that things will just kind of happen around us, and we don't want to take responsibility of our own lives. And I think the point that you're making for me is actually very important.
You already mentioned the two other ways of uh, coping with stress. You spoke about self care, which is
Mm,
equates to self love and taking time out and making sure that you are aware. Self care is important, where because stress sits here. You need to ensure that you have oils, essential oils. I use lavender. Lavender helps. Please go research lavender. I am asking your listeners to go research lavender. Lavender is such a simple herb, but it's magical. It works on your depression, it works on your stress. If you can't sleep, you put like little drops on your pillow, you sleep like a baby. If you have been in a spa, you will smell lavender oil, because it helps with relaxation. So it's something
mm,
to have. And sometimes when I can't sleep, I just simmer it on my nose. It just calms you.
yeah.
It has an instant calm, and the bottle lasts forever in this house. Like, it's one of the essential oils that I have to have all the time. Okay.
Mm,
It's needed. And you also mentioned setting boundaries. That's another technique. Setting
yeah.
boundaries and respecting your boundaries as well. You
Yeah.
yourself don't allow
Mm,
anybody to come and break them, and then you make a joke about it. No, you are teaching people. So you also spoke about very, very important aspect of the fact that everything exists within us. We are teaching people how to treat us. We are teaching people who we are. So we are teachers as well. I oftentimes hear even the people that I work with in the sessions, and my clients saying, I just felt like I'm tired of explaining myself. I'm like, but now how are they going to know you? How are they going to learn what you want? As you are changing, people need to know now that this is me. You have been
mm,
angry all this time. Now you need to teach them who you are. You need to teach them the boundaries. You need to teach them how to communicate with you in a healthy manner without you being
yeah.
angry. And this is how people get to learn who you are
Mm,
in a workplace,
yeah.
in a relationship, your children. Everybody needs to know who Mpuma is and how her routine works. Mommy is meditating, so please don't come in. I wouldn't want you to do that because it makes me feel this way. Like, these are certain things that eliminate stress in your life, that manages for people, because people don't know. Sometimes we get angry thinking people are doing it intentionally. Did you communicate it? Did you make them aware
Yeah.
that how it makes you feel? And if they keep repeating it, are you teaching them? Are you giving them the consequences as well of how that? Because sometimes we are people that when we have set boundaries, we break them ourselves. People need to understand that if they break that boundary, there's a certain way. And sometimes we have this not so healthy way of um showing people consequences by maybe cutting off communication. No, that's not the way. There are certain
Yeah.
ways that you teach a person that you have crossed the boundary, and this is not going to happen. And actually happens when you are aware of it. There are so many other, it's also like another way of, it's communication, it's us learning. There is so much that we are learning in terms of self-development, as well as just coping with life in a healthier way. And I love the
But
fact
isn't
that
that stressful on its own, though, Nthabi, this self-development thing? Because I have to say, I am big on personal development and learning, but sometimes I always sit back and I go, "Ooh, this is also stressful on its own."
it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. But what the end result, I call us a cycle breakers in the book, The Untangled Heart. I say we are cycle breakers because
Yeah.
once you do it at home, Pume, if you teach your beautiful daughters how to draw the boundaries, they see it from mommy. What are they going to do? They're going to
Really?
have it naturally, right?
Yeah.
It's hard
Yeah.
work for us, but if we let it, imagine your children living the same stress that you have. So we are cycle breakers, all right?
Yeah.
Everybody in each generation have their assignment. So our assignment is personal development. And yes, it's a bit of a stressor, but it's better than what our parents, who were the
Had
first
to
people to
go
go to
through.
university, had to go through, right? So we
Yeah.
gotta not, yeah, we gotta like realize that now this is a healthy stressor, and we are cycle breakers. They will have their own as well, our children, but they will be healthier. All right, they will be aware of mental illnesses as well as mental wellness. They will know that it's what we call self care, which was a language that we never knew. They will know that there is self development. That everything starts with you because you are the source. So they will value themselves. They will have a healthier self esteem. They will be more
Mm,
assertive. They will be realizing abuse from far. We had
mm,
to experience abuse, whether it would be from workspace or relationship, but our children will see it from far that I don't allow this in this space.
yeah.
I'm too important. I'm too valuable to actually. So
Mm.
you see, so that's our assignment. Unfortunately, guys, sorry.
No, and,
Yeah,
I am not running away from it, but I
I
really love the way
know.
you're explaining that there are these generational assignments that we are here for. And
True.
I look back and I think what our mothers and our parents did, which felt like was acceptable, some of it is not acceptable right now,
A lot of
because
it is
we
not
will take a step
acceptable.
back and we go, "You're not going to talk to me like that.
A
You're not
lot of
going
it
to
is
treat
not
me like that."
acceptable.
You know what I mean? Whereas our
Yes.
parents were taught, you must listen, you must accept whatever, your manager can talk to you anyway, and you'll be just okay with it, you know?
Yes.
Whereas
Yeah.
now you can just, when that BP goes up, you're very clear to tell the other person that, you're not going to talk to me that way. It's
True.
unacceptable for me, which is
Yes.
something that they wouldn't. I really love that the way you've compartmentalized the generational thing. It really it makes sense to
Yeah.
me. I'm hoping it makes
Yes.
sense to other people.
I hope it
Ah,
would. Yeah.
so I don't know. Time goes fast when you're having very interesting conversation.
It's gone. Hey.
It's really gone. But I think I want just to take a step back and go, so for somebody who is in the midst of really feeling all stressed and all overwhelmed and really not knowing what to do, what can you say to that person?
I would say that it depends on how heavy that is. There are times when you know you need to get somebody to help you carry the load. Okay, so let's be aware of how heavy it is. Sorry, Mpume. I think this is gonna be. Can I ask Joey to? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was saying that another one of the ways we have to be aware is if we can be able to cope alone. There are times when you need someone to carry the load with you. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are going through grief, there are spaces where there's an organization that I'm beginning a relationship with called SADX, African Anxiety and Depression Group. It's going to it has groups sessions. It has counselors that you can call for free. We'll have to just share maybe the numbers as you or maybe put it under your comment section. I'll share that with you so that you can do that. SADC has 24-hour people you can speak with. Okay, so know when you need, but everybody needs somebody to speak with. So I would say, actually advise that, take advantage of that, speak about it, speak to someone. Okay, it's important that you speak about it. It's important that you share, because if it's only in your mind and it's with you, it gets to be too much. But as we speak about it, you realize that, oh, okay, it was heavy. So you needed somebody to, we do that physically. If it's 20 liters of water, we carry it together. But if it's 5 liters, you can run with it, right? So understand that there are certain things that you need to share. You help, somebody is there to help you carry it. Don't make it your own problem alone, okay? And this is why I attack shame very badly. I attack it in the book. I attack it in my everyday life, that shame is what is killing people more than the stresses itself. People are not willing to actually speak because they are ashamed. And we are also guilty as humanity, that we don't love enough to not judge. But at the same time, I would like for people to understand that really and honestly, it's very, very important that, Jenny, sorry. Where were we? Wow. Yes. So we will share the contacts that SADC have. So do ask for help. Let's dismantle shame. Let's dismantle guilt, because it's killing people more than the stress and the pain itself. There are people who go through grief for years without forgiving themselves because the guilt of not going or not picking up that phone call. I could have spoken to them in that moment. I'm so selfish. And you go through grief, and it gets toxic because you will never forgive yourself. And the person have passed on. There is nothing you can do about it. But now you are left with this shame and guilt and pain, and you are not healing, and you are unproductive. You are unhappy. And now a lot of people even go through like a horrible depression because of those things. And if you could look at it, it would be more of shame than the issue itself. So let's be very careful to be very kind. Practice self-kindness at all times. So that thing that we were talking about of unlearning, to be saying all these bad things about ourselves and now learning to be very kind. And it's something that we didn't grow up with, but we are still learning. And I spoke about it a lot in the book of, I called the guilt and shame the enemies of the soul, because it dismantles the soul so badly. So let's realize that now it's shame that is actually, and the problem of shame, as I said in the book, it doesn't even need your enemies to be there. You become your own enemy. And so let's be very, very careful. Let's be very careful with the shame and the guilt. Okay. So let's ask for help. Okay. It's very, very important that we ask for help. The second other thing that you have to do is to start now wanting a better life for yourself. Okay. Go and find a hobby, something that will make you feel good. Other people work and produce things, like, remember how people became people who bake cakes, things that were hobbies. People became cooks. We saw talents. People started to sing during the pandemic. Why? Because people were looking for things that makes them happy. They are there, but when under normal circumstances you are like living it, lying there. But now, last year, people began to do all those things. Remember them, do them as often as possible. Things that makes you happy, things that remind you of the beauty that you are. Do them often, and get those fulfillment and enjoy them. Another thing is just journaling. I speak about it. I call it art of journaling, because there are many ways to journal.
Don't start me on the journaling conversation. I've got a story because I'm one of those that never used to journal. And I never used to understand it. Like, I would listen to opera and people, even when I was training for my coaching,
Yes.
everybody was talking about journaling. And I sat in
Yes.
class and I was like, guys, I don't get this journaling thing. Like, even back in the day, I did not have a diary. You know, back in the day, we had diaries. Like,
Yes.
I just did not believe in the diary. And it feels like maybe it's because we were never taught.
Yeah.
And once I really tried, and I had to find my own technique of
Yes.
learning how to journal. And
Mm.
my own technique became questioning myself about things and then
Yeah.
answering those things in the journal. Because
Yes.
if you were to just give me the notebook and a pen and just say, go journal, I'll look at you
Yeah.
and go, why? Like, I don't
Yeah.
get it. And I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that I've met, which I'm like, oh my God, there's so much that you gain from journaling. But we
It
are
is.
never taught to what the benefits are. And now we're digressing, but I think it's very important because when you're stressing, I think
Yeah.
journaling is also one of the best tools that anybody can
It
use.
is. It is. There are so many topics that we can talk about. Hey, like it
I
means
know.
that I have to come back. Hmm.
No,
I
you
have to come
will.
back
You
to the
will.
conversations. Yes. Yeah. Journaling is very, very important. I have a full chapter in the book about it because it's one of the most important. And the good thing is that you can even teach it to your children. The things that they cannot be able to speak to you about that they're dealing
Yeah.
with. Not that we are cutting the conversation, but there are things that children question, like you were saying, you were questioning things, and they need an explanation. And our children now, they even have like a high knowledge on technology. They research things on them by themselves. So they can be able to write about it and write their feelings and understand themselves better. But there are also like different ways of journaling. We'll speak about that. But journal. It doesn't have to be like a full page, but writing about it in that moment also makes it like, have you ever texted and then you are angry? And then after texting, you read it and you delete the message.
Yeah.
It's basically you took out the energy and you
Yeah.
see that okay, it's out. Now you can come back and
And
actually do
text
it better.
better.
It's the same energy of journaling. When you
Yeah.
journal, now that energy of pain and whatever is taken by the paper, and then now you come back to live a healthy life with the people that you love. Because in that moment you needed to take that pain out or whatever that you're going through out. So yes, these are the few things that we can speak about for today because we don't remember we said it's a stressor to learn a lot. So let's talk about
Mhm.
just those three and live at that. Once you realize that they work, then you will begin to, oh, we will come back and talk about some more. But for
Yeah.
now, just let's just talk about and maybe let your listeners practice the breathing, the meditation, the taking the walks, all these little things that you can do just to cope. And
Yeah.
also now managing your life is very, very important and understanding yourself as well, and practically do these things that will help you a lot in managing your life in general and having a happier work life balance. We didn't even get to a place where I wanted to speak about so now how do you do it when you are at home and you don't have boundaries, and now you are getting overwhelmed and you work until 2 o'clock in the morning because you are saying yes to everything. We haven't even gotten to that, but I'm
Yeah.
hoping that all these little nuggets that we shared, all these the little things that you can do will help a lot of your listeners to actually be able to cope. But again, I want to stress this: it's very important that you go out there and look for someone that can carry the load with you. As the
Yeah.
people, we have gone through a lot. It's too much.
Yeah.
Find somebody who is trained in a space of working with emotional, spiritual, and mental wellness, and share your story with them so that you can be able to cope. It makes all the changes. Everybody needs somebody, and
Yeah.
do ask for help. Yeah, if it gets too much.
Even therapists need therapists, right? To go do a
Even
debrief
therapies,
of some
th-
sort.
there is no way you can live without a therapist as a therapist. Like then you will be
Yeah.
able to projecting on people. You need somebody that will help you heal, because we are healers who are healing others. So it's you actually in a psychology space, in a formal way, you are assigned you are assigned to another psychologist. You have to have a
Mm,
supervisor that is checking on you, and your supervisor has a supervisor. Like it works like that. It can only work in that way. We're human. We're not
yeah.
machines. Yeah, so
No,
it's
it is
very
true.
important. Mm,
Yeah. Anyway,
yes.
Nthabi, it's been an amazing conversation. I know there's
Yes.
a lot, you start talking about stress and then other things bubble up because
So
a whole
much.
lot of things cause stress, as you
So
as you
much.
mentioned. And
Yeah.
and I'm really grateful that you took the time. I always say these conversations, even if there's one person who takes something out of it, for me it's always I've done something good, and this is the reason
Mhm.
why I'm in this world, and I'm happy
Mm,
about that. And if there are two or three or more people, then that's even amazing. I'm still happy with that. So I would like
yeah.
to say thank you very much. Where do people find you on social media?
I'm on Facebook, Nthabiseng Motsa. I love conversing with people on these things, even on my WhatsApp. My number is 079 7370 566. I am more than willing to share even further because this time was
Mm,
not enough. But on social media, I have dedicated Thursday and checking on my people. But I also have like private sessions, like a one-on-one. I'm trying to
mhm.
create a space also in Durban physically now that the COVID is a bit safe, like a few people where we'll have a space in Morningside, where we'll have group sessions, meditation, do the breath work, and
Mhm.
a little bit of yoga. It's a yoga studio, so you will
Mhm.
obviously be interacting with the yoga teachers there,
Mhm.
because I want us to learn to take care of ourselves, not just have a glass of wine over stress. A glass of wine is perfect, but it's not a sustainable way. Life changing and drastic decisions have to be made for us to be a better people. But there's sessions that we do, and people book, and then you just come through. We have like a 1 hour session where we speak about these things, but I also will share with SADC, which is for free as well.
Yeah.
And we're also creating with SADC the grief support groups. Okay, these are just support groups. I will share information even on social media as well on Nthabiseng and Instagram. I have LinkedIn, Nthabiseng Motsa, everything. Um,
Okay.
where we are having grief support groups. They will be online so that everybody can be part of it. Well, maybe we'll have a once a week or once in 2 weeks sessions
Yeah.
on grief alone because people have
Mhm.
died. And as I
Yeah.
said, there are steps to be taken. But in the support groups, we are not creating solutions. We are creating a space where you can coexist and
Yeah.
cry together. This thing that we couldn't have during that week, we are creating platforms, and SADC has
Yeah.
provided that space with me to have the spaces. And I was hoping that by the end of this year, I'm hoping that we have 10 of these grief support groups, and SADC is helping to manage them, and they're creating
Mhm.
resources so that people can have places where they can cry together and listen to each other and
Yeah.
speak in a safe space. And your support group, you can create it yourself. You just need a bit of training, and they provide that. I love SADC for
Okay.
that. They're creating the leaders, support group leaders training. So they will be giving you resources. They give you posters. They can give you venues if you
Mm.
want a physical. Like really, they are supportive, but it will be under the SADC rule, and you have to adhere to the SADC rules and regulations. But
Okay.
they are, yeah, we are building on that. We are trying to set up the first one by end of May, I hope. So after
Okay.
that, then we'll be talking about it. I'm hoping by the end of this year we'll have 10 online, even if you meet once a month. But people should know that they are supported and they have a space where
Yeah.
they can be listened to, and there is no judgment, and there is no shame, and
Yeah.
there is no guilt, because
Yeah.
we need that so much, and we have to create the spaces.
Yeah. No, that's great. And where do people find your book? I need a copy as well.
Yes, oh yes, I'm coming to Joburg for the launch in Centurion. Centurion is
Yeah.
in Pretoria. They said I must stop saying it's in Joburg. It's in Pretoria and Centurion. At Craft Shop in Centurion, we are having a lunch next week, Saturday. I hope the weather will be good. The food is good there. I know they have amazing pizza. I've seen their reviews. And for you to have food and drinks and a book, you pay 300. But if you already have a book, it's 180 to come
Okay.
and dine and have drinks and just have a conversation with us. We will adhere to the COVID-19 rules of wearing a mask, social distancing, etc. It's a good space. It's very open, so we'll have enough space to have all of us there. We'll have a bit of music and some champagne and juice and good food and laughter and just share from the book. But I'm also looking forward to hearing what it has done to people. And the reviews have been amazing. The testimonies have
Mm,
been amazing. The hope.
that's great.
Uh, yeah. So you can get it from there. But if you are not coming to, of which no, I can't say you shouldn't come. You should come. I want to see you. Patanan always has copies. He's in Centurion, so I will
Oh,
share. Yeah, I can share his numbers. He is always and forever having copies. He has been having copies since. So he's there to help, and he can even drive to your place to drop it, or you can come to his workplace or his home. But he's in
yeah.
Centurion.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nthabi, for the time. So
Thank
for
you.
everybody that was listening or hearing us, please continue to subscribe, follow, like, comment, and give us your views and opinions around some of these conversations that we're having. Thank you very much.